All right, check one, check two. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour with your host, me, Rob Cantrell. Oh man, I got an exciting episode, a dope guest, an awesome cat, on fire, on the rise in the comedy scene. I've seen him when he first got to New York. He's originally from Detroit. He's been on Comedy Central right now with Lana Glazer's new show. He's also written for BET. He's written for Complex. He has toured the country with some of the top comics. If you're in New York and you see this cat's name on the bill, go to the show. Give it up for Alex English, everybody.
Hi, Rob. Hello. First of all, in the prelude before we recorded, you were like making fun of me for the intro, and I have nothing to make fun of you about because that was lovely. Oh. Sometimes people do my intro, and I'm like, "Wow, I did all of that. I'm doing all of that. Wow, I forget sometimes. Nice to be reminded."
Yeah, exactly. You are a star, and you are. I saw your 5 minutes on Lana Glazer, and it's kicking, man. It really hits.
Thank you.
You know.
You know what? My only gripe, which has nothing to do with anything, was that like it just happened during the pandemic. During the pandemic. So the audience was like very sparse, and we were outdoors. So I feel like my cousin kept it real with me, and he watched it, and he was always like, he's like, "This is funny, Alex, but I mean, you would have killed it with a better room." Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, we're outside." What you didn't see actually was that, and I kind of wish they would have kept it, put it in. During my set, there was I was in the middle of a bit, and then like a semi truck, like just passed by where we were recording, and it was like honked its horn very, very loudly. And it broke up. It broke up the whole set, but everybody was just laughing. I mean, it might have been the biggest laugh I received the whole set. I was like, I couldn't keep that party.
But yeah,
Thank
I know
you.
that.
Yeah.
I haven't been out, dude. I went underground. I'm still on the underground, but I know you're young and strong, and you're on the ground.
Oh please! I'm listening. I'm what I call well into my 30s now. I'm not. It's still very early 30s, but I'm well into it. I was almost susceptible to the virus. I was almost in that age group.
Yeah.
I'm just like a few years shy of when I would have been gotten the vaccine first. Senior citizen.
Did you get the vax? Are you vaxxed up? What's your deal with
I did.
The vax?
I got double vaccinated.
Oh wow!
I'm good, fully vaxxed. I got both of my shots in the Bronx.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, so
I said in the Bronx. That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. That's how a lot of people do it. Yeah. So my vaccine was Coquito. You know what I realized?
Big Pun's cousin gave you the vaccine.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right about that. I don't know.
Everybody's related to Big Pun up there.
But you know what, Rob? I lied. I gotta say, I gotta keep it real with you. Yeah. I lied to get it a little earlier than I probably should have. But I feel like I waited a while. Like I didn't get COVID at all during this whole thing. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and like let the teachers and the healthcare workers and the firefighters and everybody that's like on the front lines, let me make sure they get it. But I was like, look, y'all are dragging this. If you, by now, I think I had my first shot like by the end of March. I was like, if like the vaccine was well available at that point, I was like, well, if you haven't gotten it by now, you don't want it, you don't want it.
Yeah, that's on you. I think after March, it was all hands on. It's like, dude, and
it only recently.
You tell them you work at a library. You tell them that you're 85 years old. I don't give a shit. Get vaxxed up. I'm done with it. I'm just done with it. I want to get.
Well, I told them that I was a restaurant worker. I told them that I worked at a restaurant.
I did. So I was like, shit. I said I worked at a store.
Did they ask you for proof?
Help out. Yeah.
Did they ask you for proof of like employment in the line?
No.
Or they just kind of let you?
No, I had Pfizer. New York ran it tight, man. They asked for proof.
A lady tried it with me on my first shot. She I had to check in the line. It was raining. So it was like I had been waiting outside in the rain for about 45 minutes before I got inside to get the first shot. And she checked me in on the iPad. She saw what my answers were in the pre-screening. And then she said, so do you have proof? I mean, do you have any documentation? So I brought like 2 pieces of mail with my address here on it. So I was like, oh yeah, look, here's a W-2, and here's my phone bill. Yeah, I should be paperless, but I didn't press that. So I have bills. And then she's like, yeah, but about the restaurants, you have like proof that certifies you. And this is a woman of color, right? So I'm looking at her. I'm starting to be like, okay, I'm caught. She gonna tell me to get out. I've been waiting in line. I've been waiting forever to get the shot. So I started fidgeting around with my phone, like, can I call? Maybe I can call a manager. And I'm truly thinking of the first friend I can call that would answer the phone to like play like they are manager on the spot. We have a lot of friends in improv, Rob. So let's
got comedy friends that know what's up.
Let's see their chops. Yeah. Prove to me that you have the chops right now. Okay, I may not be industry, but prove you could. But the lady, as soon as I like uttered like, oh, I'll call my manager, she smelled the bullshit, and she was just like, go ahead. And I was like, yes, you should have been saying, you shouldn't have even asked me for proof. You're gonna deny me my vaccine. Let me in the school, lady. Which is something I've never said. I've never said let me in the school cavalierly.
And
they got the shots.
She got it. She knew you were full of shit, but she was
playing around. She was playing games. I was like, let me in here, lady. Look, come on, I'm trying to get back out in these streets.
And you're trying to do the right thing, Alex. You know it's the right thing. But I mean, it's hard to tell people to do it, and especially the African American community. Like they don't, you shouldn't trust the government. I get it.
So that's a Henrietta Lacks, okay? so that's a Henrietta Lacks, okay? Try telling her to take the vaccine. Yeah.
She ain't fucking with, you can't. People hate being told what to do. That's what I've learned in my life. It's like people, they just don't want to hear it.
It's unfortunate that like healthcare and science becomes political, because that should never become political, right? So that's the problem. And the thing with anything that becomes politicized is that you're not going to change that person's mind, right? You're not going. Anybody that doesn't have faith in the government, as soon as you attach governmental issues with healthcare, that something that should be pretty bipartisan, taken out of any cost. That is just something personal. You're not going to convince them. Then they kind of are set. Whatever they believe is what they believe, and as a Black person,
their personalities attached to it. Like their whole sense of self is attached to that. So you're almost like combating, like, oh, you're everything about you is wrong. Yeah.
And you know what, Rob, it's so much harder to being Black with it, because I am a Black person who has faith in science and medicine. I'm like, look, my dad said it best. Somebody else might have said this, but I heard it from my dad first. He said, Alex, they're giving it to white people. How bad can it be? I saw enough white folks getting the vaccine. I was like, well, they're not going to kill them. So they're not going to kill them. Yeah. So it's that, but it's also very difficult as a Black person to communicate with other Black people in my family, friends that I know, and I have people in my family who are refusing the vaccine. And when you ask them, they do say things like, the government, I don't trust the government. My cousin said something like, well, the government just trying to make money. That was the blanket reason. And I was like, well, it's free. And also, you don't think that they already don't, you think they don't have money already? Like, you think the government doesn't have money?
You think they need your $17?
You think they need, right? You need to give you a shot, so it never makes sense. And it's like sometimes I get so disappointed. As much as I don't want to tell anybody what to do with their bodies, everybody is an autonomous person who can make their own healthcare decisions. It's unfortunate because I hear Black people in my family and my friends speak like that, and I'm like, you sound like QAnon Trump people. You sound like the people that you hate. You claim to hate these people, that you disagree with them. But y'all have there are a lot of parallels there. Y'all think with the same ideology sometimes. So it's like, there's a lot more that it just further proof, Rob, that there's a lot more that unites us.
Yeah, man, it is a human thing, and I
Yeah.
think in some way it's like teaching us that we really do, like, that's why we have to all come together on this, Black, white, Puerto Rican, Asian, like, to get it down. And it worries me about India piping up, you know,
I read
because
about that.
I think we're all one. I've always think we're all one. Like every time I've taken mushrooms, that's what it always
that's what we need.
To what?
We need more. We need more shrooms. We need more shrooms.
Yeah, we're all mentally fucked up. We're all mentally fucked up, and we all have experienced trauma, and we haven't been able to process it for hundreds of years. And yeah, I think it's some way of coming back to nature. But yeah, with mushrooms, it's like, that's when I remove my ego, and I'm like, yo, I'm a part of Alex. Alex is a part of me. This is one big fucking nerve ending that's going, like, you know, going like.
Well, you know what, Rob? I say that especially like when it comes to like comics, when it comes to like the quote unquote community of comics. Yeah, like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that there's no clear example to me, or at least, and to those like me, of what being in unison looks like than a group of comics. Because no matter what background you're from, we all made some fucked up decisions in life that got us to becoming comics, you know. So we all, like, regardless of age, it goes beyond that, you know. It goes beyond age, race, gender, sexuality. If you're a comic, you're equally trash.
I know, you could be some super QAnon comic Trumper, but he knows about open mics. He knows how to cry in his car after a show.
He's bombed.
Yeah,
he's bombed. Yep. He can accuse
after a show once in a while.
Listen, he's bombed on stage, which is why he can also relate to Barack Obama. Okay, we're bombing. It's all the same thing. You can accuse him of the drone strikes, but you've stricken a crowd or two.
Yeah. Where are you at? I try not to be political, man, because I don't want it to affect my comedy, and I think it draws away from humor. But I dig Obama. I've always, just as a cat, just as a dude, and people say he's fake or whatever. It's like, no, that's politics. I know politics. You got to play the game.
Yeah.
It ain't fucking sitting around, the house bullshitting. It's like, these
guys, the thing is, though,
lost through.
He was our first one. So unless he did, it was very everything. The first is always very experimental, but I don't know why. It's really crazy. Why I try not to be too political in my comedy. Also, even though a lot of my bits right now that I'm doing out of quarantine, out of the pandemic, since stuff is opening up, I am digging a little deeper into Black history and revisiting a lot of Black history that I used to consume as a child. So now I'm kind of contextualizing it with jokes and stuff in my mind. So I'm doing that now. But politics, it does get murky. I guess with Barack Obama, I'm always I don't like that there's this liberal, and I am a liberal, but I don't like that there is this liberal critique of Barack Obama that kind of places him in the same category as his numerous predecessors. Race plays a serious role in the way Black political figures politic, in the way they do politics, the way they perform politics. We have to be very careful. Just yesterday, that after that congressional appearance, the address that
Biden's big speech,
Kamala Harris did an interview where she did not agree with the rebuttal from the Tim Scott, the guy, the Black Republican that spoke on behalf and said that there was no racism in America. America is not a racist country, which is okay, dude, whatever. How much did you get paid to do that shuck and jive? Because that check. Okay, rent is due tomorrow, so I get it.
Yeah. He's got a good mortgage. He doesn't have to worry about that mortgage for the next 10 years right now.
It's the check is cleared. Okay, that direct deposit hit. Okay,
because that was the only one they had. That's the only.
He's the only Black Republican
they had to shoot back.
He's the only Black Republican in the Senate, which is like, yeah, it makes sense. But I was gonna say Kamala Harris responded to it in an interview, like I think as early as yesterday, and she said she did not agree with him with most of any of his points, but she did echo that she did not feel that America is a racist country. And there are a lot of I've seen a lot of Black people have discourse, you know, it kind of goes in one ear out the other with me because I'm like, y'all are all just shouting and nothing's really getting done. You're on Twitter, you're not on the streets, you're not in the, you know, we're all just like kind of echoing one another's thoughts and outrage. But I don't like the critique she's getting from Black people about that because it's like, yeah, can you imagine the death threat she's already receiving just for existing in the vice presidency as a Black woman?
Yes.
So we gotta let her do her thing. We gotta let her rock. She can't be Malcolm X. No. She can't say America is racist. Yes, she has to, like, she and Biden are obviously offering up a dialogue, a conversation to unify. We're already divided as a country enough. Yeah. So yeah, we can go off. There's no doubt in my mind that Kamala Harris knows that there's racism in this country. Yeah. But she has a role to play. And she can't be too extreme. Extremities in politics is what is going to kill us. Exactly. It's on both sides. It's truly on both sides. I don't care how progressive you are, and I don't care how conservative you are. Once you get too far on either side, things don't look good.
Because you're not the representative. Square on target all the time when you're coming from an extreme point of view. You're kind of coming from more of an it's like it's almost all about whatever pain or trauma you went through, and you're kind of like, I gotta take it all back, you know.
And everyone's just projecting their individual traumas into this collective thing as though it applies to everyone. Like, I don't like that. I don't like when the conversation about Black people comes up and there's like this collective trauma that we all have and identify with one another. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't really, I mean, yes, do I recognize that Black people as a whole, we all have some sort of trauma? Yes, but it's not all the same because we don't all have the same experiences. And the second you start blanketing Black people as a whole with the same trauma, it's just not the case. Like, for example, I used to get whoopings as a child, and I got Black people on the internet now telling me that I'm traumatized because of that. I'm like, no, I was an asshole as a child. I talked too much. I talked back. I lied about shit. I had a lot of ass whoopings coming to me, and I got away with a lot of ass whoopings that I probably should have gotten.
Same, man.
So that's nice. So I'm not traumatized from getting hit.
I was born in 72. I got the belt. I had to say yes.
Get the belt.
No, I got the belt.
Rob, I don't mean to one up you, but I used to get whoopings with a belt with my name on it. So my name was literally imprinted on my ass, which is like, that's trauma. Okay.
The thing about ass whipping I always thought was funny was like when they're whipping your ass, they're like, and you're like squirming around, you start squirming, and they go, "Don't move, stop moving."
You're literally hitting me.
I'm supposed to move.
Rob, do you remember what age whoopings stopped working on you? I feel like for most boys, this is like a collective, like there's like an age, there's an average age where it was like your mom or your dad was like, "Oh shit, he's Teflon."
It was my dad, and he died when I was 10. So it was like after 10, it was just my mom, and my mom is like kind of like me, just a free spirit hippie out there. So I came, you know, so I'm glad my dad did the ass whipping, and I was scared of him. I was literally like, people don't understand. Oh yeah, I was scared of my dad. Like I was scared, like this motherfucker could kill me. Like I think he's kind of crazy. Like I had that.
Did he not know his own strength? Is that one of those things?
No, he never abused me. I think he was just tough, man. I think he was spare the rod, spoil the child, you know, old school type of cat, man. He never.
Rob, we come from the same. You're spitting stuff that I've heard. The spirit of rod. Whoa, okay. Yeah. I thought that just existed in Black families. No, you're from the South, though.
I'm from the South, and then DC, Northeast DC is, you know, when I grew up, is Black as hell, and yeah, it was just kind of norm, like most kids. You know, that's just how we grew up.
That's just how you grow up.
I don't think it's great. Like there is some trauma there. I don't think it's great, and I don't think it's good for these time and age, but I will say it did put me in line enough that I never got into coke. I never got into serious crime. Like it kind of like, if I was doing grimy shit, it only went so far, you know.
Right.
I don't know, because it just put me in line. Like I always had a
Yeah.
little bit of fear, you know, which isn't the
Yeah.
worst thing.
That was the same for me. My mother would spank me and then make me like write later about why I got in trouble.
Oh,
She'd
that's
be like,
cool.
okay, now go and like she'll talk to me. I would never get hit, and then there wasn't a conversation afterwards, you know? So she was just always like, look, you're getting on my nerves, okay? You need to go upstairs, write a paragraph, explain to me why you think you got in trouble, and then we'll discuss that. My mother was, it's just so funny. I'm just now realizing, and this is like, I guess it's how recently I'm like looking about it, thinking back, I'm like, oh, my mother's a human being. I think I just realized that my mother was like a person like a year ago. Because you get in your 30s and stuff, and you're like, oh, she didn't know what the hell. She was still figuring out what the hell to do. She was by herself. My dad was in jail, you know? So she was just like, she's got this kid. I'm the only child. So she's got this kid, and I'm just like, got to figure out what's going on with him, you know? But she was also young herself and trying to do her life and have a life even with a child and go to school and have a career. And I was just like, yeah, I deserve to get my ass kicked sometimes.
And
now
I'm gonna hit, man. The energy, I can feel the energy right now. You're a shot.
I was a talker, Rob. I was talking back a lot. I heard a lot of like, children are meant to be seen and not heard. That was what I always heard. But then I grew up to become a comic, so obviously that didn't work.
Yeah. To shift a little bit, because we're doing the Cannabis Coffee Hour. I have just for the listeners at home, I have Alex English. Alex English is originally from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm in Traverse City visiting my mom, who's in assisted living right now. But I have a coffee with 3 shots of CBD in it. Weed is getting madly legal. I have an audition later today, so I'm not puffing hard. So, but what do you think about legalization, Alex? Like, being from Michigan, like, it seems almost getting to be like California out here.
That's right. I mean, I'm of course 100% for it should be legal across the board, and I don't understand why it's not legal in every single state at this point. But very happy that it is becoming decriminalized in New York, of course. But I mean, I'm just like everybody else who smokes, you know. I was just like, okay, I was already smoking in public anyway, so I was behaving like it was no big deal, and I'm fortunate that I haven't like received any sort of like citation. I've pretty much gotten away with it ever since I've picked it up.
You're smooth.
But,
in 2007, I don't know. You probably heard that I did 3 nights in the Tombs. I went to for a half a point. I got picked up in the Lower East Side, and I went in Friday, didn't get out to Sunday. And the Tombs is a federal holding cell. Like, I was in there with murderers. I couldn't take a shit for 3 days. I didn't piss for 3 days. I was in the shit. And that was for a half a joint. And I was traumatized. Like after that, if I saw cops, I would just back up. Like, I would just
you would throw a whole joint on the ground and stump on that shit.
Yeah. I would throw a whole joint on the ground. I would act, it shook.
Damn.
It shook. You know what I mean? It just shook me. But at the same
time, I know you feel better, but I know you feel better about it. Yeah.
I love it. And I love New York. And I love New York when it's like, that was one of the reasons I came to New York. You could always get good weed. You know, it was the delivery cats were in check. Like, if you were a weed smoker and you knew what was up, you could figure it out. But with my thing with legalization, and I'm trying to play it cool, but my heart does go out to the African American community, because it's like, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna smoke bongs all day. And somebody else is like, yo, my uncle did 20 years for
still in prison. Still in prison. Many still in prison.
They're partying down to Sublime right now. And I got a cousin that's doing fucking hard time in a racist ass state that busted him for a half a joint, you know? So it's a bittersweet, but it also makes me look at America and just like how we're all figuring this shit out.
Issue
Where
by
are you
issue.
at with that? Like, how does it feel with you?
I mean, I feel the same. You know, it is jarring to see so many people, so many like, especially white people, like getting into the cannabis business you
The
know,
Republicans.
and yeah, and I mean, you saw that coming, right? With like
Yeah.
as legislation continued, as you see more people starting weed businesses and stuff, it's just like, man, this is happening with such impunity, yet so many African Americans, like you said, are
In the
still suffering.
70s,
So many
60s.
families are
Yeah.
suffering because of just these minor infractions.
Yeah, and as you know, and I
You
know, like when you
experienced it.
take a
Yeah.
dad out of the experience, it throws the whole family off, and then you're dealing with life is hard enough
Well,
raising a kid.
to be fair, friend, to be fair to the law, which is something a black man will never say, but I will. My father took himself out of the family. The choice was made. Okay, the choice was made. Sure, we can discuss Ronald Reagan. That we can how his whole shit, how his whole plans for the country affected my dad's sentencing. But my dad was selling cocaine, slinging cocaine across Detroit in the late 80s and early 90s. He made those choices when he could have been playing basketball in college. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that he took himself out of that. So,
that boy,
but we're
that
good.
lifestyle,
We're good now.
boy.
We're good now. Yeah. We're good now.
That's
but like,
good.
because my relationship to, to just drugs and my exposure to drugs and like the way the role they played in my family, I guess, to see it is good to finally I figured it would be in my lifetime. This isn't one of those things that I was like, I never thought I would see this, in my lifetime. No, this was looming, eventually as things become more progressive.
Opened up that door, Bob Marley, the Grateful Dead, the 60s,
yeah.
That started opening that door. But that's interesting about your pops, because I think the same thing. Like I watched that. Do you know about White Boy Rick? I saw this.
Oh, absolutely. My dad knows him.
Like, and they're all like, and I felt sorry for White Boy Rick, but they were like, it was the governor or the mayor, and he was running, but the dude got caught with 10 keys. All right.
Yeah.
I've been around grimy motherfuckers. The most I've ever seen is like an 8-ball or 2. I've never seen it. When 10. That's almost $500,000. Like that's not just me and my friends are partying. And
honestly, the drugs aren't even the most dangerous thing. It's the people handling it and the people selling it. That's where the danger comes from.
And the guns, you got to get a gun if you're moving that much money and shit.
And my mother, I mean, I was an infant, so there's no way for me to remember this. But my mother was telling me once about how she was driving and she felt like she was being followed. She literally had to drive to, and this is while my dad was still out and about. She had to drop me off to like, she was like, think of like some old 90s drug related movie where the woman's like dodging some random black car and like dropping me off at my grandmother's house so she can duck and dodge the dude. So she makes sure she does. I was like, Ma, you know what? Sometimes my mother tells me things about like her time spent with my dad before I was born and like as I like when I was conceived. And look, I'm appreciative of my life, but I was like, Mother, there's no reason. What was your taste? I'm judging my mom for fucking my dad. I was like, there's no way I would have slept with him. There's no way I would have made a baby with him. There's no reason for me to be here. I was having breakfast with my mom a few years ago, and I was like, Mom, was that an accident? You can be honest. And she was like, Alex. I'm like, come on now. Like, you are a gorgeous, intelligent woman who was on the way up still at that time. He was doing all right. He wasn't really, I mean, he was balling. They met in high school, so he was playing basketball, so he had all that potential. But I was like, girl, you didn't see the potential. He was. He played for Murray Wright High School. I believe Murray Wright is still open.
Is that like the big ass high school? Yeah.
It ain't really though. It ain't not academically.
But I mean, it's always the powerhouse.
But for sports,
which school is like the powerhouse basketball? Like, oh shit, these guys are about to go pro. Like,
my dad graduated. My dad graduated from Murray Wright playing basketball. He went to Alabama State to play.
Full ride?
I don't know, but I do know. I don't know full ride, but maybe. But I do recall them saying that at the time, I think maybe like a year in, before he ended up going back to Detroit, he was like being like scouted by like the Golden State Warriors back then. So I'm like, I'm sitting here like, really? I could have been an NBA player's son.
You could have
You
had a
took that
lake
from me.
in Lake Tahoe. You guys could have had a nice cabin. Could have been
Listen,
snowboarding when you were 16, and him
I'm over here
finding Europe.
auditioning, struggling. Yeah, look, I'm over here now. Now look at me. Now look at me.
So your dad, is he out of the joint?
He's out. He's out. He's been out. He's been out for a while now. Like
He's
he
an
can't.
old cat. He's like me.
Yeah. Listen, Rob, you are my father.
I gotta tell you something, Alex. You know, your mom was bad.
listen. That would actually be refreshing. It would make more sense.
So you told me about your dad a few times when he was rocking on Facebook early on. I remember.
Oh God.
And we were about to do a show, but I shut you down. I was bummed that I shut you down because I just couldn't deal with any family. I didn't know what kind of trauma you were gonna open up on me. But I knew it was funny. When I look back on it, I was like, oh, he's working out a bit. Do you have bits about your dad?
No, I wasn't. I was just I don't talk about my dad on stage. I was literally talking to you about something that happened. Like
you were
I was just talking
to me, and I was
opening up. But it's okay. You was dealing with your stuff. Yeah, you was dealing with your stuff, and that was totally fine. Whatever. But
you got it. I remember you got it. I was just like,
I just talk. Yeah, I'm just chit-chatting about my day. But no, I will catch you up though about something that happened a couple months ago. He texted me. He was like, he texted me clearly he did this on like some collage app on his phone. Mm-hmm. A picture of me side by side with some random woman. And he says underneath it, "Do you think you're a favor?" And I was like, huh? And and to anyone listening, do y'all a favor is Black for do you look alike? Do y'all have similar features? So that is do y'all favor. And I was like, no, I don't think so. Now I'm already ahead of him because I kind of know where my mind is going. And then he texts, I was just like, no, I don't think so. Why? And he's like, well, she hit this woman hit me up on Facebook saying that she might be my daughter. And I'm like, now, Rob, let me tell you this. I would have been more shocked at him bringing this to me, if there weren't already a sinking feeling that I've long had that he could very possibly have another child somewhere.
Yeah.
I always had it like deep in my spirit because the more I've gotten to know my dad, the more it became clear to me this is like really big other secret child energy, or like unknown child energy. I'm like, there's no way he wasn't A, cheating on my mother, and B, not protecting himself. There's no way he wasn't making he was already making the worst decisions.
You were born in 88. You were born at the height of cocaine and threesomes.
Listen, exactly. So I'm like, there's already, so we start, he honestly, that conversation, what I just told you, Rob, is kind of where we left it. And I'm like, he gave me a little bit of a story of like, oh, there was this woman and, we had a thing and then she moved away, her parents and her moved away, and there was no technology back then to like keep up with people, so if you did get someone pregnant and they moved away, you didn't know anything about it. My uncle, my mother's side, my uncle had a situation like that too. We just met her a few years ago. And he died from sickle cell when I was in high school. So she grew up without him and never even knew who her dad was. And he didn't even know that he had a daughter. So, I mean, knowing having had experienced that, this does not surprise me, but it's not confirmed because he is sort of like he's being as distant with the information with me as he probably is being with communicating with her. So he's like, if she's knocking on her door and he's just like, oh, yeah, let me check with my son. I can't, Rob. I was like, listen.
He has nobody else to talk to, Alex. He has
a wife and a stepdaughter. He absolutely has. He has a lot of people he can talk to.
You're cooler than them, man. You're cooler than them. He needs somebody to help him through this.
He wasn't even mad. But I mean, what does he want me to do? I don't know her. You come to me when you confirm everything, and I can say if I have a big sister or not, because apparently she's older than I am.
Would you like that? I think you would like a sister.
Sure, but I mean, I don't know how I would respond to it. I don't know how I would be confronted by it as a 32-year-old. It's not like I'm 16 or anything like that, or like super young. So it's kind of like
he can drive you to the mall. You don't care about
there's no I don't know. But I don't think I would have like a volatile reaction to it, right? I feel like I would just kind of be very like, oh, well, all right. Hey, sis. You got some birthdays to catch up on.
Humor? Is your dad
Absolutely.
a funny cat?
Absolutely not, Rob. You know it. Well, okay, well, you know what? According to everybody else.
Is he just a straight up jock?
Hold on. According to everybody else, actually, especially members of his side of the family, they love to tell me that my comedian side comes from him because he loves to joke around. My dad has very like crass humor, I believe, very, very, very direct, not as subtle as what I believe mine to be. I'm sure he holds court at the family reunions. And you know, when he gets with his boys at the barbershop and all that stuff, but he ain't getting on nobody's stage. Okay. So let's make that. I told you about the Facebook.
Central, like my man,
okay. Boy. When Alana calls him, then we'll talk. No, I told you about the Facebook posts and they still happen. You know, there's a clear distinction of when he writes a post himself and when he copied and pasted something.
His page.
His personal page. Okay. His personal page. He randomly has like a Facebook group that he's made himself called Grown Folks Keeping It 100. The title's not long. The title's long. It's not short by any means. Keeping it grown folks having real talk and keeping it 100. And he added me to this Facebook group. And I'm like, what is he on here doing with his time? And I, of course, out of curiosity, joined. And he has created like a community of like 12 to maybe 1,500 people throughout Michigan. These are like, I'm like, how do you know these people? And he just like created a face. And now I think my dad.
Lonely people out there, Alex.
Rob, it blows my mind. I visited that group and there's like all these topics. And my dad is the topic dude, right? So he's like, what do you think about cheating in a relationship? Should a man expect dinner when he gets off of work? And then there'll be a whole 96 comments, a conversation of this very cliche question that gets asked that has just been beat to death. But he thinks he's like starting a revolution. Also through this group, my dad is now a party promoter, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Which he'll do like social gatherings at lounges, and people from the Facebook group will come. I did a show in Detroit 2 years ago, and there were people from his group. I've never met these women. Showed up to the show, and he was there too. And they were like, "Oh, look at you, looking just like your dad." They sound like relatives. You look at you, looking just like your father. I'm like, who?
Dad, man.
But I'm like, who are you?
My dad was giving people after my show, man.
Rob, I was just like, what are you doing with your life, sir? This is just wild. He's just like a people connector somehow.
Yeah.
And yeah, but you know, there's a clear distinction.
Cat, just like you can hang with everybody. He's just
him being a party promoter, it just it's so funny. I'm like, I'm
code for cocaine.
You never know when no,
but everybody's like 40 or 50. You can't be doing lines when you're 50.
it just goes to show that, Rob, I have had a long history of hooking up with party promoters in my past. So I've been looking for my father, obviously, in the men. Yeah.
You're getting that 45 minutes, but you've been doing so many cool shit and your family's interesting. But tell me didn't you just tape some stuff for Michael Che's new show?
Oh yeah,
we're a little bit about that experience.
You know, Rob, I got a
secret.
You know, I got 2 cute little under 5s. It's cute, you know, got some little cool lines. I have not seen anything yet. I'm gonna be seeing it, of course, for the first time with everybody else. But I have friends who work on the show with Che, and like, you know, kind of have seen the galleys and I've been getting text messages. They were like, Alex, I know it's not big, but you look pretty good on there. You look pretty funny. I was like, okay, as long as I hear that, and these are friends that I'm like, they wouldn't just tell me this if they didn't
tell you that shit.
You're not gonna give it up. My friend Gary's not gonna give it up to me.
Nah.
Like if he gonna tell the truth.
Yeah.
So for him to come out and tell me that it's good, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
So I am
saw,
on that.
I saw that you're on it. And I was like, oh, good for Che, man. Hook him up.
I am. I know. Yeah. You know what I will say about that production. And while we're giving props to Che, yes, because he like the 2 times that I filmed, I noticed that there were a lot of like actors and actresses from Broadway. You're gonna see a lot of like non-comic actors, more so like just like
move.
But the thing is like Broadway, but yeah, beyond the strategy of that, yes, okay. It was really nice to see like, yeah, Broadway took a hit. A lot of Broadway, so he put a lot of like Black Broadway actors and singers and performers on the show, and I just thought that was so cool because they were struggling. Anybody in entertainment in New York, musicians, we were all stuck at home, and so for him to like give people that.
Down. Yeah.
Like
we could do Zoom shows and do midnight shows or rooftop joints. But with acting, they say that, the best actors are from Broadway, stage act. It's just stage time. So you get your chops in acting. I'm going out for roles and stuff. And I wasn't a theater kid at all. I was straight up goofball. How do you feel about acting? I kind of like it. I like that 5-line, 10-line. That's where
get in and get out.
Get in, get out, look good, try to get 1 or 2 funny looks and then bust out. But I'm
enjoying it more.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it more. I still feel like I need to get a little more comfortable with being a little more like into the character, But acting is such a like vulnerable thing, right? Because you gotta like let go of who you are to give life to another character. So I think it's not like stand-up where you are just you and you give you and it's all you plus whatever characters you have in your back pocket. But I know I guess I enjoy acting. I guess I'll enjoy it more as like, because what I do like is the fact that I am not getting I do enjoy like when I get offered like self-taping chances to like audition. They're not, I don't feel typecasted. I get just as many straight guy roles as gay guy roles, and that makes me feel very happy, that people still see that I could maybe convince others that there are.
You do a straight lawyer. I think you could do it. You could do a thug. You could do a lawyer. You could do a rapper. You could.
Rob, I didn't spend all those years in the closet. Okay, I didn't spend all those years in the closet to just be typecast as a gay man my whole life. Okay, I tricked 2 girls in high school. I think that's good enough.
That's Oscar-worthy shit, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah. But Rob, I have to tell you too, because you were talking about the legalization of weed in Michigan.
Yes.
And I'm gonna tell you, when I went home to visit my family last year, like in the middle of the pandemic, my grandfather had just passed. He was suffering from dementia, getting like, so it was like he was fading away. He was living with my parents.
Yep.
Yeah. So I went to go visit shortly after he passed. And my mother and father were sharing with me details of like a trip that because they like to go on like a little road trip to Chicago, 4-hour drive from Detroit, right? And my dad was saying how they were nervous. We were talking about the police, and they were nervous driving on the road because they did get pulled over. They got pulled over on the way just for something very small, But my mom apparently took an edible, and my dad had been smoking a joint. So there was a whole lot wrong that could have gone down, but it did not. But they didn't outright tell me that. My mother didn't outright tell me that she had an edible. She was just like, yeah, I was just nervous because, I was feeling some type of way. And my dad was like, yeah, your mama was feeling, she was a little happy. I was like, oh, Mom, you had a flask or something? You had some wine with you? Because I know she drinks. Right. But she was like, yep. They were trying their best. And I was like, Ma, what you talking about? Well, she's like, she had to mutter it like, oh, well, I had that candy. I was like, candy? What you talking? And then my dad had to be like, yeah, Alex, your mom, she likes the gummy bears, the edibles. I was like, oh, y'all out here, my parents are doing drugs. Oh, nice to know. So it was so funny too, because for the first time in a long time, because me and my mom butt heads often, just off the strength of our personalities. Love her to death. She'll be here next weekend to visit New York. Can't wait.
Beautiful.
But the nothing brings a son and mother together than drugs. And so she was like, Alex, I was like, Alex, don't you? I was like, Ma, I could have been getting high with you this whole time. I've been smoking weed for years now. She was like, Alex, I don't need to know that. I'm like, Ma, come on. It's a pandemic. I'm grown. Weed is legalized here. And me and my dad smoke joints now together every time I go home. It's phenomenal. I also take from his stash too. So like I deserve it. I deserve that.
Does he get good weed?
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
I don't need super strong weed. He seems like a cool cat, but he would have.
He's a cool cat. He plays golf every day, and he crunches numbers for a living. So it's just like, look, the man is stressed. They're working on a house. They're building it. They're still fixing their house up.
Man, everybody knows it's better than if you've been around the block. Everybody knows if you're going to your 60s and we're all handling stress, like shit, everybody dies and falls apart and houses and payments and shit. And it's like, fucking let's smoke a joint after the day, man.
The conversations too are just, but I mean, I think family. If I could, for my whole family, I just want to give everybody a joint and like, look, we are all. There's no arguing. There's no arguing because we are an argumentative family. And like, look, if we all just got high, ate like a weed infused dinner for Thanksgiving, I would come home every single year. Instead of skipping
one Thanksgiving
some holidays.
That you just get a bad taste in your mouth. Like, I don't want to see these motherfuckers for.
I went home a couple of Christmases ago, and a family member stole my very first AirPods out of my coat.
No, that's AirPods.
Not even a lie. Not even a lie.
Those are the ones you don't want to lose. But did you confirm it? Did you catch them red-handed?
I know. They were in my coat, Rob. They were. Everybody puts their coat in that one room at the crib. Somebody, and I know who did it. That's the thing. I know who did it. But what was crazy? I was so high at Thanksgiving dinner that I was like, you know what? I'll just get another pair. I'm not even gonna go up to him and punch him in the stomach like I know I want to. But just know, and I know, I see to this day, every time I come around, there's that looming. I'm like, I could hit you right now, and you would know why. I could smack you in the back of your head right now, and you would know why. But you know what? Family gonna be family. Take them, dude. I got another pair. These are my second pair since then. Yeah. I saw a meme that if somebody was like, if you have the same AirPods that you had from the beginning, you're very responsible. I was like, that could have been me. It could have been me.
Family reunion, and
except
you got too high to be to break them off when they got
too high to care.
But yeah, anytime you get with family, it's tricky when you get in arguments because any arguments suck. Like, I don't know. Anytime you lose your temper, it's not a good. The older I get, I'm like, it's never worked out when I popped off on somebody.
Do you avoid confrontations, Rob?
No, I'll go right in and go a little too hard sometimes, just because I had.
I'm about to say, Rob, you a savage. Yeah, you are a savage.
I got a little bit of savage in me. Just I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and as the youngest kid, so yeah, and I people thought I was gay. People would say, "Oh, you act black, you dance." People would test me. People always would test me, and I'm like, dude, I didn't grow up. I grew up in Northeast DC. Somebody got shot in my alley. Like I got.
Oh yeah.
Rocks were thrown at my head like weekly.
Oh my god.
And my brother's, big as hell. I had to fight him every day. So I don't know. I'm not saying
every
I'm a tough
time,
guy, but I would say that I learned to stand up for myself. But now that you're older, it's not good to pop off.
It's not good to pop off. Yeah, I used to be a little scrappy, fighter back in high school and stuff.
Black dude.
I had a lot to say. And I was gonna fight back regardless. You wasn't just gonna talk crazy to me. Got into some bar fights in my day, But I'm like, when I got to New York, when I finally got here, and I was like, well, I don't really have a lot of family here. I'm still making friends with people. I can't just be out here wilding out in the streets. It's just
like once MMA happened, and now there's more guns.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, you never know what somebody has on them too. Yeah, you never know what somebody has on you. It's best to just avoid. I was gonna say, Rob, every time you mention your age, I'm like, you have there's such a youthfulness to you. I just always took you for like slightly older than me, like not by a large degree, but like you said 70s. I'm like, what?
Well, it was the 80s. It was 72. So I'm getting there.
You're Uncle Rob. I didn't know that.
I'm OG, man. I started.
But every time I see you, I've never even questioned. I'm like, oh yeah, late 30s, mid to late 30s. I'll give it. But you're very young at heart.
Yeah, man. I'm still pumping Houdini. I'm still pumping Underground in my car. I'm still popping and locking in front of the mirror.
Okay, now you're on 40s.
You can tell whenever music.
Wait, I'm gonna say whenever someone asks your age, you just tell them what music you listen to.
We got in the car right now. What do you? Okay, well, I'll let you go, Alex. I know you're busy, cat and shit, but I could talk to you forever. But
literally in my bed frame,
and I know you got good taste in art. I know you have an art. I like what Erica. What did Erica Badu say? I'm very artistic with my shit. I'm
an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit.
Yes.
That is what she said.
That's what
you're right.
Love
Erica.
That's how I am.
I was just listening to Next Lifetime the other day on a walk. It's still a great Erica Baduism is a perfect album.
Age well because she put art and soul into it. You know, because some
realize how well she can sing. She's a fantastic singer.
Yes.
I think she gets like kind of overlooked. Yeah, I think she gets overlooked in her singing ability.
Yeah, it's authentic. She's an authentic eccentric.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. So what are you listening to? And then we'll sign off. What was the music you were listening to this morning?
Let's see, Rob. You know, I'm always kind of going up and down. You know what? I'm gonna tell the truth. Spotify has that list of like things on repeat. So let me look at like what good I'll tell you. There's Cali Cheese. She's very good right now. She's a young, like I think Colombian. I think she's a Colombian singer.
Nice.
Yeah, she sings in Spanish, so I never know what I'm singing along to. But beautiful music.
I like rap in French. I like rap in Spanish. If it sounds dope.
Rap in French. I'm getting into British rap right now. Yeah, I don't know any artists, but I'm looking up a lot of it on YouTube and I'm enjoying it. Lucky Day. Okay. Lucky Day is a really, really good R&B singer right now. He has a good album out. Victoria Monet. Sir, from Kendrick Lamar's like Camp. Very, very great singer. Let's see, Summer Walker. Rob, my musical interests are so like, you would look at the things that I listen. One would look at the things I listen to and they'd be like, is this a gay man or a emo white boy? Because it just a gay black man. Or I have
both of those vibes to me. You got some.
I'm a thought. Yeah. I'm a thought who loves like thought music, trap music, and I also love me. But I also love I love Coldplay. You know, I get into everything as long as I can tap my foot to it. You know, it's good. I love that band, Bad Not Good. It's a band. Oh, they do it with. They have a whole album with Ghostface, and I just got into it. It's great, start to finish. I highly recommend.
With Ghostface, I'm getting that on Spotify.
It's called Sour Soul. It's called Sour, and Ghostface is on the cover. It's very, cool. And I'm late to the game because they've been around for a while. But you know, their whole I recommend, especially if you're a cannabis consumer. Which I'm sure people who listen to this absolutely are. I highly recommend. I built my entire bed that you see right now behind you. I put this together to like all of their music for like 2 hours. It took me 2 hours, but I put my bed together to their music.
Skills, man. You know how to do a power drill and all that shit.
I got a little Jesus in me, you know.
You know how to get the power tools out and measure.
Listen, I can read some directions. Yeah, I can read some directions.
I read the hell out of directions. Everybody gets mad at me because I read them out loud. I'm like, my wife's like, get this out, and my brother's like, what are you doing? I'm like, shut the fuck up. Let me just read
I'm
every
putting
word.
this together.
Yeah,
right.
Let's put this together. Yeah.
Let's put it together because if you don't, you just go in it thinking you're not making the bed, you pitching the tent. You know, you just you sleeping on top of metal and stuff. That's people get. Read the directions, people. If you didn't learn anything from this podcast today, read your directions.
Word
okay?
for word out loud, because if your
read your directions.
Kia is funked up, like it's just going to ruin the party when people come over. They're not going to think you got your life together.
You don't want people sitting on your couch and it collapses underneath because you forgot to screw in that back bolt with the with the little screwdriver they give you.
They're like, yo, man, I'm only 150 pounds. What are you doing? Your fat friends, I mean, I don't know if you can say that, but your bigger friends, they'll break your furniture.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, I would feel some type of way. My skinny ass getting on some furniture and it falls apart. I'm like, no. I don't gain weight, okay? So this is your fault, not mine.
This is your fucked up furniture. This ain't my.
This is not my fault.
Good to go. I'm normal.
I'm normal.
I don't want to fat shame or anything because I like big people. I used to have a joke like, if you're ever broke or you ever need somebody to couch to sleep over, go to your big friend's couch. Your big friends, their refrigerator is stocked full of food. And their furniture is comfy as hell, and they got a lot of room for you, and they're nice usually.
And listen, listen. I'm putting it out there. I date big men, so I'm not. I date big men. Listen, that
everybody's got everything.
There's nothing better than a nice hug from a big back, big front, big arms. I like it, especially in the wintertime. Keeps you nice and warm, and in the summer,
feel safe.
And in the summertime too. Shoot. Because I don't mind a little body sweat. Never hurt nobody. It never hurt anybody.
It's like riding a hippo around the world.
Yep. Everybody needs something everybody needs something to hold on to.
Yeah, let's sign off with that.
Plus me and another skinny person, that starts forest fires. 2 sticks. You rub 2 sticks together and it's never a good thing.
Yeah, 2 skinny people. Yeah, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. It looks like they're brother. It looks incestual. You're like, you need a skinny cat.
You need a chunky person to really get in there. Yeah, make some noise. Make some
noise, and somebody to figure it out. Yeah, to warm it up, and then the other guy to be fast and scrappy. All right, Alex, is there anything you want to say to the good cannabis coffee community out there in the world to sign off, buddy?
I want to say keep smoking, keep living. Watch that damn Michael Che on May 6th on HBO Max.
Ooh, HBO Max.
HBO Max. It's 6 episodes, so you can get high, drink your coffee, and speed through that.
Yeah,
laugh and enjoy yourself, and then do it again, and then do it and revisit it, do it all over again.
Tweet at Alex and tweet at
me
that Rob should be on next year.
Tell we will get the Cantrell Hive, Cantrell Hive involved. I will second that. I will co-sign that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
I dig the crew that's out there in New York, especially you guys. I don't know. I really love. I can't wait to feel safe enough to get out there and perform and scrap it up. And I like the Brooklyn rooms. I miss seeing everybody.
What's great is that because I know everybody's been saying this, but it is the truth. People have been cramped up in the house so much that they're coming to shows and they're really giving it up. They're laughing a lot because they've been at home and now they're just excited to be there. I am wondering when that's gonna wane off and people are more. Then it's like, okay, now everybody's bombing because we're just getting away with it. Like right, if you're bombing right now, if you're bombing right now, listen, it's gonna be harder for you because they're giving the audience. I'm saying some stuff on stage right now, Rob, where I'm like, that ain't funny, but y'all are just excited to be here.
You want to create the momentum. We got to get some momentum because this place is only 40% right now, and everybody's got 3 masks on.
I am too cynical. Yeah, but I'm too cynical to fall for that. I'm like, no. Let's just keep working at that because y'all laughing. That's not real. That's not real to me.
Yeah. Stay real, man. Yeah, you're right. You can't read the fake. Don't fake the funk. That's what I say on this podcast. I can't fake. Don't fake the funk out there. Get your I can't tell you to get vaccinated, but if you want this shit to be over, look into and seriously consider getting vaccinated.
Listen, ASAP. All of the hot people are getting vaccinated.
Yeah,
that's that. So if you listen,
you want your dick sucked, get vaccinated.
If you're trying to be out here in these streets, I recommend getting the vaccine because I heard that all the hot people, they're only giving it to, so
that's it.
What more of an incentive is that to just be included in hotness?
Yes, the thoughtness.
Look, that's positive reinforcement. I took like one psychology class in college.
I like it.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah, that's how you do it, man. You can't tell people what to do, but you suggest. That's
lightly suggest. Yes.
Suggest. Like, that's if you have an older person that tells you, like, well, you don't want to, but you can look at this angle. You know?
Yeah, for sure. So yes, get out there and get your vaccine.
And I did buy it. I hate going politics, but yeah, I'll get off. We'll stop it right here. We'll go down. Because I love talking to you, Alex. Thanks for your time, man. Thanks for being on the Cannabis Coffee Hour.
Thank you, Rob. This was a long time coming.
Long time coming. And
a lot of DMs.
I want a little studio. I want to get a bong. I want to get a band. I want to do the whole thing. So I'm building. So
please.
Being on the ground floor.
Of course. Thank you. And get back to New York fast.
Yeah, I will. All right. Stay safe, Alex.
You too. Love you too.